From the creators who brought you RuPaul's Drag Race and $1 Million Listing, this is World of Wonder's Wow Report. Things that make us go wow.
Well, hello everyone, and welcome to this week's highly anticipated edition of the Wow Report. I'm your host, Fenton Bailey, and I'm thrilled to be here with you to dissect and celebrate the moments that truly made us go whap. James, this is Blake's beautiful intro. It's very good.
No, I was agreeing with you that I was shaking my head saying, what a time to be alive. What a time for us all to be together. I can't wait to dig into it.
The moments that made us go wow this past week. I'm Fenton Bailey, co-founder of World of Wonder, joined by Tom Campbell, our Chief Creative Officer, and of course, James St. James, the world's first celebrity, best-selling author, host of the Wow Podcast Network's Night Fever. I know.
And more. I love it. Yes, keep going. Keep stroking that ego.
And our producer, Blake Jacobs.
Wow, big intro for Blake.
I know, James just takes all the energy out of the room. We're like, it's James St. James Fest. So we're lucky to be here.
I've dropped the millennial.
Yeah, right. It's 2025.
Yeah.
But this week's top 10, let's start it now. Number 10, Tom.
Number 10.
Trey Spiegel, who's been on our show, who we've worked with, who's been on the Wow Report, posted this on Facebook, and see if you can follow it. He said, Don Old will himself host the Kennedy Center DIShonors this year with B-list honorees George, parenthetically, I'm very straight, Michael, Phantom, Crawford, Gloria, No Glow, Gaynor, Sly, Rambo, Stallone, and Kiss, my ass. Which I just thought was like a haiku poetry. I don't know. I'm not sophisticated enough to know what that is. I'm not saying that any of these artists, by the way, don't deserve a Kennedy Center honor. But, there does seem to be a mainstreaming of the arts. There's not, where's the opera? Where's the classical? Where's the things of that nature?
The writers. Where is a right? There are no, There's no literature. There's no, yes.
But the part that's hard to get over, the part that seems really gross, that seems so ingenuous in its announcement, was President Chaos saying that, the head of the center, who's some suck up to him, insisted that he hosts the show. They want me to host. I said, what are you, crazy? I'm the president of the United States. I got to go golfing all the time. I don't have time to host a show. He goes, you think I forced them to do it? I didn't force them to do it at all, but, it's going to be a very good show. He's going to play off really well. I'm trying to adopt that Gavin Newsom, just plain on, just be him. Just speak in his tone so people listen to you. This, on top of this crazy sending the National Guard and Trump controlling the police, which is all, Nazi playbook, control, police state, get used to cities being, the idea of abolishing homeless people, which was absolutely the beginning of the purge in Nazi Germany. A small thing, but one that kind of breaks my heart because I am, by the way, planting trees and doing all kinds of things around my cottage. It's like there's something so gosh darn poetic about the pictures, the before and after pictures of the Rose Garden. A pollinator's dream and blossoms and flowers. And now it's, a Mar-a-Lago, I don't know what it is.
Paradise and put up a parking lot.
Thank you. And then you can't escape the memes of the Russian gold leafing all over the Oval Office and the White House. And there's a picture now that's popped up online, I think it's real, of him and his first wife that he may or may not have pushed down a flight of stairs to her death. They're up there in Russia, their first visit in the 80s.
Yeah.
And they're surrounded by gold. And I'll just say one more time, and this again, just because it shocked me at the time. I stayed at the Trump International Tower when it first opened on Central Park West in the 90s when I was moved out for the view for a temporary time. And I was put up in this, one bedroom. It's very nice, gold faucets, gold everything. And then in the hallway were all this gold bric-a-brac, these gold platters, these gold, they were plastic, made in China, spray painted, but spray painted by somebody who works there. They weren't golden. They were just somebody in the basement had a newspaper and
gold leaf. It wasn't, they were dipped in gold. They were actually just, yes. Well, I just wanted to go back to the nominees for a second because we expect Kiss, of course, to be MAGA, but there is something sort of like they throw away so much of their legacy and so much. It's just so tarnished because they were counterculture legends for
Knights in the service of Satan is what their thing stands for.
It is very sad to me. Now I know I've told the story about Gloria Gaynor when the club kids had the dinner party for her in Paris, and she was sitting across from Genitalia and I, and she burst into tears and said, I'm a good Christian woman, and she damned us all to hell and ran out in a fury. So that one isn't that upsetting to me. I mean, it's sort of not surprising to me, but I imagine it did take a long time to gather that list of people who would be MAGA.
I feel like America is paying for your sins.
Probably, yes.
It all comes back to James.
How they found Michael Crawford. I mean, that's such an unusual choice because he was really famous in the UK for a hilarious sitcom called Some Mothers Do Have 'Em, about the gayest, most sort of clunky, just disaster-prone queen. I mean, it's extraordinary. And I was like looking online to see if maybe Michael Crawford had very Trumpy politics, but I couldn't.
I think the answer is yes, he does.
I guess.
But we do know that the Phantom is probably Phantom and Les Mis are the two shows that, and Cats probably, that's all that Trump has ever seen on Broadway. And we know that those are his favorites.
Well, he used to see Will Rogers' Follies because
because of Marla, yeah.
Marla was in it. I'm just going to wrap this up with a happy note, which is I'm here in New Hampshire. I went last night as guests of my friends Steve and Jesse LaValle to the New London Barnhouse Players. It's 90-something years on. It's summer stock. It's a bunch of young, talented people, and they put on a killer production of Hairspray. And it was remarkable. It reminds me how great the show is, how it's, it is it's a white lens on the race problem, but it's still so smart, so clever, from John Waters' original material to Shaman and Whitman's music to O'Donnell's writing. It holds up well. It's really smart. It's really clever. It's really celebratory to be in New Hampshire, to be surrounded by the arts in a small town of New London, New Hampshire, and hear all the local businesses, LaValle Building Supply, Carroll Gravel, those banks, everybody contributes so this gem of a thing can continue, so there can be culture brought all around. It was dynamic and exciting and gave me hope for the future, and I needed a little of that this year.
Tom, that's great. I think you very cleverly sneaked 2 items in there, and I'm gonna add a third, which is, of course, you can always watch the Kennedy Davenport Center honors, which we will be counter programming to on Wow Presents Plus.
Has that been released? Has that information been released?
I guess it has now.
All right, I'm very excited by that. By the way.
All right, let's move on. Number 9, James.
Number 9.
The Gilded Age season finale last week, and we could do 10, 9, 8, 7, 6, 5, 4, 3, 2, 1 about it. So much happened. Just a very quick rundown. Of course, Railroad Daddy lived. We have the idea that perhaps he's going to be a laudanum addict next season. He stood next to Opera Mommy at her ball. It was very exciting that they provided a united front. And then afterwards, he said he was going to leave her, which was very upsetting. Gladys, of course, is with child and very happy in her marriage. We have Oscar and the former evil maid, who is now a millionaire, joining forces. What's going to happen there? We have Audra reading snotty Felicia Rashad to fucking filth. God.
And that's the night the lights went out in the Gilded Age.
It was an epic takedown. It was absolutely brilliant. We have Larian back together, thanks to Clock Twink. We have the Clock Twink falling in love with the Irish maid, which is very sweet. I do think the most important thing that happened was Beard Doctor proposing to Peggy, which was just the most swoon-worthy event on television this year. It was so beautiful. It was at the Black Ball in Newport, which rivals, in my opinion, Bertha's Ball. One of the most interesting things about the show, and I sort of want to talk about this mostly, is the way they put a spotlight on Black aristocracy in 19th century America, which I don't think a lot of people knew about, that there was a Black upper class. The way that they show the nuances is something that I suspect I knew that such a thing existed. I don't think I knew a lot about it. And the fact that there is Black on Black, not rivalry, but the way that the light-skinned Blacks look down on the dark-skinned Black, which is something that is so interesting to explore, and like the fact that Felicia Rashad's family looks down on Audra's family for being dark-skinned, and the fact that Peggy's father was born into slavery, and that for that reason, the families that are 2 or 3 generations past slavery look down on him. It's a whole world that I don't think that people know about, and the fact that it's explored with such delicacy and so interestingly. Also, the fact that there were the Newport balls that in Newport that were rivals to the white balls, and they looked a hell of a lot more fun, frankly.
Of course.
And the beauty and the fashion that they show of that is it's fascinating. I do see that there was a book that came out called Our Kind of People, America's Black Upper Class by Lawrence Otis Graham that does a great job of exploring this. There's also an 1841 book called The Elite of Our People by Joseph Wilson, who was a Black man who moved to Philadelphia and discovered all of this. And also, just very quickly, another book, if you want to do a deep dive, is called Black Gotham, A Family History of Black Americans in the 19th Century New York by Cora L. Peterson, I believe.
I just have one thing to say, because I agree with everything you're saying, and this doesn't contradict it. I watched it on my computer here, sitting right at this spot, and I had a grin on my face. It was so much endorphins going off because they went to every major storyline, but it's almost like they thought it might be the last episode, because this really is the season. The show has become a bona fide hit, and so they wrapped it up. So much so that it was over, and then. Spoiler alert, I'll try not to get, it's like there's the morning, you think everything's fine, everybody's back together, and then 2 major characters wake up in the morning and go, oh, you're leaving, you're going to the club. It's like, oh, you misunderstood me last night. It was like this weird, like soap opera reversal, which also for the character, and I'm going to leave it, I don't necessarily buy their reasoning, but I don't care.
Every single one of them, you have Donna Murphy, you have Carrie Coon, you have all these Broadway stars, Audra McDonald, Kelly O'Hara. I mean, you have these powerhouses that just deliver, and this season has been absolutely fantastic. And I love that the breakout star is Clock Twink, who even calls himself Clock Twink now on Instagram. So it's so
And
cute.
do you remember, if you don't, go back and look, when Carrie Coon receives some bad news toward the end of the episode, and she's alone because she's always so strong and cool and tells everything and she has this moment, the actress, where she's like she's literally shaking her head and it's so effective. Like you really feel like all of the weight of all her decisions in her life is just bursting her circuits. It's really powerful acting.
Moving on to number 8.
Number 8.
Alien Earth. I went to see the first 2 episodes. Jazz Tanke from Variety very kindly invited me to a sort of fan viewing event, and I'm sort of still processing. I mean, it begins with this piece of text that says in the future there are 3 kinds of people: cyborgs, synths, and hybrids. And the cyborgs are, it doesn't really matter, but the hybrids are the interesting ones because they're synthetic human beings, synthetic beings with human consciousness uploaded. And the way that happens is that Prodigy, who is the world's youngest trillionaire and is a sort of teenage Elon Musk. I mean, a kind of repulsive character, right? He takes sick, dying children or children with a terminal prognosis and lies them on a slab and transfers their consciousness to a synthetic body. And this is very much the Lost Boys from Peter Pan. In fact, I think at one point someone is actually reading Peter Pan.
Yeah, and the thing that they watch as it's
Well, and that made me think, oh, it's owned by Disney now.
Yes.
Yeah, that's a little heavy-handed, and called the Lost Boys. And of course, the main, the hybrid character is someone who calls herself Wendy. It's sort of interesting, and I guess if you're going to make a TV series of Alien, you do have to expand the world. But it sort of feels a little algorithmically created to like, oh, we're going to have this. Because the director was also there, and he said at the premiere, he said, well, we've also created 5 new monster creatures. Mm-hmm. So you've got Alien plus these other creatures. Now, the way the story, obviously they're setting up multiple plot lines here. So on the one hand, you've got Wendy, the synth, who is created on the private island of Prodigy, the young trillionaire with the Lost Boys. You got that going on. And then in deep space, you've got the classic Alien setup. They're on a Weyland-Yutani spaceship, and they wake up from deep sleep, and they're having a meal. You know, you've seen the Alien movie, and you know how the scene goes. It doesn't have a facehugger in it. What's going on is that they've got on board all these different samples that they've recovered from deep space, including the alien and some eggs. But then there's also a sort of weird slug that crawls into your head and sort of pumps everything out and into a sort of football
like
type
the eyeball
thing.
Octopus.
The eyeball octopus. I mean, I think it's a bit Monsters Inc., to be honest. But
I've heard that episode 5 is really good.
Okay. I mean, it wasn't bad. I was just like, it's sort of alien-ish.
It's your wheelhouse. You should just be reveling. You should be a pig and poop on this.
Yes, Tom.
I'm part of the population that hears it gets good in episode 5. That means I'm never going to watch this. Just so you know.
No, I didn't say it gets good in 5. It's already good.
Oh,
but see, episode 5 is
all right.
Really
I stand corrected.
The general vibe does seem to be that it is good, and I guess I'm just grumpy, maybe. And I thought it was good, and there is a fantastic sequence where this spaceship that's been in deep space comes back to Earth, and it crashes, and of course the zombies escape.
Well, that's your main plot line there, is because then they all go out into Earth and reproduce and take over the Earth, right? By season 3.
Well, I guess that's the
idea. This was episode 2 episodes were released on the premiere, and that's where we're left off now.
I do just want to say something that you haven't mentioned, Fenton, which is the most important thing of all, is that the star, besides the Wendy, the girl's brother, Alex Lawther, we all know from where.
Very cute.
He played James St. James in the movie Freak Show.
Oh,
very...
Shut up.
Oh,
yes. He's a damn good actor.
That should have been our trivia question.
Yeah. And then, but actually, you know what's interesting? I thought a lot of Alien Earth bore more similarities to Blade Runner. You've got, the Rutger Hauer character in Blade Runner, who's the Time to Die cyborg. Timothy Olyphant plays a very similar kind of character. And it just feels that the world is very Blade Runner-ish. I guess that's sort of Alien, but
you love Blade Runner too. I don't understand.
I do. And, it's 2120 and the planet is controlled by 5 giant corporations. I mean, they literally own
right up your alley too.
I think it just fits a little too close to home right now because we're owned by 5 different.
The mega capitalism of it all. Yes, the mega tech capitalism.
Well, I do have a trivia question about the alien that we can do.
Well, we can do that, actually. Perfect moment.
Timothy Olyphant, who plays the blonde cyborg who's sort of in charge of the lost children, who is Timothy Olyphant related to, and what famous Gilded Age family is he from as well?
We'll have the answer right after the break here on the Wow Report on Radio Andy.
You're listening to World of Wonders Wow Report. Things that make us go wow.
And welcome back to the Wow Report. I'm Fenton here with Tom and James and Blake, and we've been talking about Alien Earth, and James did the honors of the special question this week.
Yes, Timothy Olyphant, who plays the sort of evil robot cyborg, blonde, cute. He's actually related in real life to a celebrity and is related to a Gilded Age wealthy family as well.
I have a guess.
Who? No.
Is it the Guinness?
No.
Vanderbilt.
He is a Vanderbilt. Yes, he is related. He is a cousin to Anderson Cooper and cousins with Gloria Vanderbilt. And I think his great-great-great-grandfather or something was Cornelius Vanderbilt.
What else has he been in?
I think he was like in Deadwood or something. Justified.
Yes, that's correct. That's right.
Well, thank you, James. That's fascinating. Okay, just before we carry on with the countdown, I'm going to say that Drag Race Slasion Royale is finally out now on Wow Presents Plus worldwide. If you don't watch it, you are really missing something. It is absolutely spectacular. And there are 2 watch-along shows, Fashion Photo Review with Raja and Raven, and Binge Queens. So there's Slasion Royale all over Wow Presents Plus. Number 7, Tom.
Number 7.
A documentary on Netflix, and it's called Sunday Best. And it's basically the Ed Sullivan story of the Ed Sullivan Show and his bold stand for Black brilliance and civil rights. It is a simple story that is revelatory, that was kind of hiding in plain sight. Ed Sullivan started off as a reporter. He was in sports for a long time. And then someone gave him this Toast of the Town kind of column in one of the newspapers in New York. And he just started going out all the time and seeing things and just had good taste. Because we think of him as such like the stiffy guy. And he was a stiffy guy. But at that time, he was this trusted presenter of ideas. And the Ed Sullivan shows, young people don't know, but they had circus acts and opera and classical and pop music. And one of the only places that had a consistency of Black artists performing. And that is because Ed Sullivan had such popularity that he took on the establishment. And, and just the context of this, I think Ed Sullivan's show, which was called The Talk of the Town at one point, but it went through this incredible swath during history. The U.S. Supreme Court ruled segregated schools unconstitutional in 1954. The Civil Rights Act was passed in 1964. The documentary really highlights how racism never went away. And from 1948 to 1971, his show was on, and it would range from 35 to 50 million people a week.
That's great. Now, do you think that like Diana Ross and the Supremes or Nat King Cole or any of these people would have broken through the way they did without Ed Sullivan?
I mean, he gave them a platform and a legitimacy and a momentum, even though Pearl Bailey, Sammy Davis Jr., and the Jackson 5 were toward the end, but even being kissed by Ed Sullivan in 1971, the last year was on the air, that footage of it made them overnight sensations. He had a special love for the Supremes. Smokey Robinson's interviewed. Harry Belafonte is interviewed. Otis Williams from The Temptations. Berry Gordy. I can't remember every detail, but I was riveted to every moment. A fun little fact, he had one daughter. He was married, and he always lived in, and it's not like the Knickerbocker Hotel, but he always lived his entire career and marriage in a hotel. He lived in a hotel. I love that little thing.
That's heaven.
Yes. Nat King Cole was attacked in Birmingham, Alabama while performing live. Physically attacked. And Ed Sullivan had booked him on the show, and they didn't want him on the show. And the sponsor says, you put him on, we're taking him up. And Ed Sullivan had the clout and the ability to have Nat King Cole on the next week. And just the finest acts of a generation, of a century. And he's so responsible. So again, a white lens, but we need allies. All of our whatever minority we're a part of, we need allies who can help us through. And racism is rampant still, more than ever. And there is a feeling of hope you can take from that. You just realize this world is fucked up for a long time for many reasons. And we're always fighting battles, even though we try to be like, oh, the past was so great, and now we're in such trouble. We are in trouble now. But, the fight doesn't end. The fight continues. And he's always remembered for bringing the Beatles. He's always remembered for putting Elvis on. But they focus on the Black artists he put. And it's just as many, if not more, memorable performances that you know.
And how interesting. I think I knew that he was like sort of a Walter Winchell type beforehand. But the fact that he got the show because he was so trusted and he had such a cultivating eye that it wasn't the other way around, that he got power from the show. He had power going into
he was show. He was, yes. And you didn't need a huge personality at that time. You did somebody that people trusted.
Well,
you did somebody
good for him, because he did not have a huge personality.
He knew he was awkward. He played into it. It's like he was a sensation. So God bless Ed Sullivan. And you should see, it's called Sunday Best.
Sasha Jenkins directed Sunday Best on Netflix.
Well, job well done.
James, number 6.
Number 6.
Well, for those of you who are watching, I have just put on pink tassel earrings from Oscar de la Renta that I got a few weeks ago. And the reason for that is it ties into what I'm about to talk about. Because do you remember Marie Kondo, everybody?
She was on Netflix and you touch things and she would let them go and you got rid of your stuff.
Decluttering guru who advocated for this Japanese form of organizing your home, in which you took everything that you owned, you put it in a big pile, you held it up one at a time, and you asked, does this spark joy? If this sparks joy in your soul, then you keep it. And if not, then you throw it away. And a lot of people latched on to this theory of decluttering and made her into a household name. Now, there is a new form of decluttering that is out there. There's a new theory that is sweeping the internet, and it's called the poop test. And the idea is, if something is pooped on, if you have a pair of running shoes and they're covered in poop, do you throw them away? Or do you clean them? Do you take the laces out and soak them 2 or 3 times in bleach? Do you save them, the poopy item, or do you throw it away? And the idea is that poop is sort of a visceral emotion that people have when they're confronted with this. And so I was thinking to myself, like, these earrings, if they're covered in poop, if I come home one day and they're smeared with feces, what am I going to keep them? Or am I going to throw them away? You know what? I'm going to throw them away. They're fine. I like them, but I have no emotional attachment to them yet, other than wearing them on this show. So they're gone. Something like this megalodon tooth that my brother found while scuba diving one time in a Clearwater spring that I got after he passed away. If this is covered in poop, it's pretty easy for me to wipe off. I'm going to keep it.
I think your theory is complicated by the texture of the item.
Exactly.
Poop in fabric versus poop on rock. If I can hose it off, it's different than having to touch it.
Exactly.
It's true. I was thinking the exact same thing. In fact, how expensive it is probably factors into it too, and the ease in which you can wipe the poop off of it. Or,
well, if you have pets or if you have kids, you basically are covered in poop all the time. You're surrounded by it.
Basically, you would clean everything and keep everything.
I do all the time. I just this morning I came down the kitchen and the dogs had pooped all over the kitchen floor, and I wasn't throwing away the kitchen floor. I just got down on my knees and cleaned it up.
More importantly, don't take anything given to you by Fenton, because it's covered.
I guess that's the lesson here.
I'm trying to think. Yeah, I mean, and often the doggies will be, if they're lying in bed, they'll throw up or something, and I'm like, oh, good God! But I don't throw away the bed. Yeah, I just clean it up.
But let's change that. Let's switch it up a little bit, and it's human excrement and smeared all over.
Not going there, but I think of things that you drop in the toilet. You kind of have oh, do I get this or do I not get this?
Absolutely. I dropped my phone in the toilet, and there was nothing was going to stop me getting it out. I mean,
it's your toilet. What if you're in
I was in a restaurant in France toilet where I think they're quite poopy. Some of those restrooms in France. So absolutely. And I was having dinner with Nikki Doll, and I was like, oh my God, I'm having dinner with Nikki Doll. What do I do? Well, I reached in and pulled it out and washed my hands. And then went back to the table and said, you'll never guess what? I dropped my phone in the toilet. Pass me the bread.
Hasn't spoken, has kept 5 feet away from you ever since.
Pass me the bread. You ripped it with both hands. I love those earrings on you, James. You should wear them all way.
I will finish
equally stained or not.
Fascinating. Number 5.
Number 5.
Did anyone see Squid Games season 3?
I still haven't seen Squid Games season 2.
Oh my gosh, Blake, come to my rescue.
I have not seen it.
Yeah, it's been pretty mixed in terms of reaction, but because season 2 ended right in the middle of a rebellion, that the inmates were rebelling against the game and the overlords. And I guess it's sufficiently long ago. It's been out for a couple of months. I can talk about it, right? I can just.
Yeah, sure.
I have a question. In season 2, it was really boring and slow to get pick up. Is season 3 like that?
I think I'm a bad judge because I find the whole thing somehow captivating, even if nothing happens. And people do criticize it for lack of realness of characters, but they're in a ridiculous game for starters. It's more like a sort of game of chess or a crossword or something. And even that center tower where they walk up the stairs on their way to the games, it looks like a Magritte painting. There's a sort of formalism to the whole thing that I don't think it's about real characters. And I
always thought there was MC Escher they were riffing
MC
on.
Escher. I'm sorry, not Magritte. Absolutely.
Oh, okay.
MC Escher. Squid Games is kind of a meditation, I think, rather than a character action-led thing. It's almost got the sort of qualities of a formal dance. At the end of season 2, they've led this rebellion. The returning contestant who won season 1, number 456, has led this rebellion, and that's the end of season 2. Season 3 picks up. He survives, like so many other people are killed, and the rebellion is put down, and so it's back to finishing the game. And then the most extraordinary thing happens. One of the characters has a baby and gives birth to a baby in the middle of Squid Game. And what happens is, one of the weird things about it, they have the game and they bring in these VIPs. And the VIPs are probably like tech barons. They're like Zuckerberg or Musk or like that young trillionaire from Alien Earth. And they watch the games and they're always drinking and they have funny animal masks on, and they're always sort of just providing redundant commentary about, I wonder who's going to kill who. But in this particular moment, the VIPs decide that this newborn baby should become contestant number 222. And so in Squid Game, where the setup is everybody basically has to kill each other except for one survivor, the whole question is, what's going to happen to the helpless little baby in this scenario? Well, to answer the question, it's obvious they're not going to kill the baby. Just the laws of narrative, especially from an American point of view, I think, dictate that the baby survives. And so the kind of thing is a bit of a dead giveaway from the outset. It is a little bit sort of pro-life, Jesus-y, right? Yeah. I mean, that you can be in the most despicable environments of unimaginable cruelty and sadism and mass murder. And yet everyone will conspire to save the baby that can't speak.
That's sort of the Moses thing, I think, is probably
a little bit. Yeah, it's like saviorish though, Tom.
Yeah,
really, absolutely. And then at the very end, it's clear that this is the last season of the Korean-based Squid Game, because at the very end, there is a reveal. Up pops Cate Blanchett. I feel like, what? And yeah. So that's, next up.
So it's going to be an English-based Squid Game that continues.
No, I think it's going to be American, actually.
I love it.
It's either Kate or Tilda that was bound to pop up sooner or later. Yeah.
I think it's interesting and worth a bit of a watch. We'll take a break. Blake.
I've got a question, and it kind of ties into one of your topics from this past segment. Today is the anniversary of 2 huge moments of music that happened in the 60s, August 15th. One in 1965 and the other in 1969. Do you know what they were?
All right. We'll have the answer right after the break here on the Wow Report.
You're listening to World of Wonders Wow Report. Things that make us go wow.
Welcome back to the Wow Report. Benton here with James and Tom and Blake.
Yes, and I asked. Today is the anniversary of 2 huge music moments from the 60s. August 15th, 1965 was this. August 15th, 1969 was this. Do you know what they were?
I want to try to guess both. Is that okay?
Yes.
69 was Woodstock.
Yes.
65 was, I think, the Newport Jazz Festival where Dylan went electric.
No, but close. James? Fenton?
65, I think, was the Beatles going on the Ed Sullivan Show.
Closer. It's the day that the Beatles performed at Shea Stadium.
Oh, I thought that was 63.
That our number one super fan, Carol Leifer, attended.
Yes.
Remember?
Yes. Oh.
All right, we're counting down the top 10 things of the week that made us go wow, and we have reached number 4.
Number 4.
I just want to pay my respects to the passing of a great American doctor, Danielle Spencer, also known as the little sister on What's Happening, the incredible sitcom from the 70s. One of the first, I think Good Times might be the other, one of the first national television shows that dealt with Black teenagers. It was Raj Thomas. It was Freddie Rerun Stubbs, Fred Berry, who could dance. Raj was kind of the original Urkel, if you will. And then Dwayne Nelson was played by Haywood Nelson. And Dwayne Nelson was one of my first TV crushes. But Dee played this wiser than her years, don't fuck with me. Her tagline, because you had to have a tagline, was like, ooh, I'm going to tell mama. She was an actress before What's Happening. She was in What's Happening Now, which was a reboot in the 80s. But she went off and she studied medicine at Tuskegee University in Alabama, where she graduated with a doctorate in 1993. She also obtained an undergraduate degree in marine biology from the University of California, Los Angeles. And she spent most of her year as a veterinarian and taking care of pets, both in her hometown and in California, back and forth. She had a car accident when she was on the second season of What's Happening, and she had just devastating injuries, her head and everything else. But she did come back years later, like 20 years after the crash. She had some longer term experiences. So she had spinal problems. She had a brain surgery, and then in 2014 she underwent a double mastectomy. So she had some rough years, and she talks about how her family was around her, and that's what got her through. So it's just one of those people, once you see her, I've been looking at clips. She makes me laugh. That show made me laugh. And here's a trivia question outside of the trivia question. The theme song to What's Happening. What famous film composer composed that What's Happening theme song?
Probably John
Williams. No.
Yeah.
He's also wrote the theme song to the Pink Panther and Breakfast at Tiffany's, Moon River. Henry Mancini. Henry Mancini.
Oh, that's interesting. That's fascinating. I think you're doing it justice.
I'll work on it. Yeah, that's just to remind people listening to Google it and listen to it for themselves.
Tom, you put me down a rabbit hole of watching clips of Dee and everything. But the women on that show were such powerhouse performances, all of them. You had Shirley Hempel, who was Shirley the waitress.
Thank you.
And you had
Mabel King played the mother.
The great Mabel King was Mama. And so between the three of them, and they were all just sassy. Yeah. They were strong Black women, and they ruled the roost. And I was watching an episode, and Mama and Dee were arguing with Raj about something, and Raj did have on the tightest damn pants, and there was a damn dick print that I saw. There was a peen print.
There was no shame in crotch. There was no shame in crotch cleavage with men in the 70s. No. There was no shame. It was encouraged. Burt Reynolds.
I was like, literally, the whole time my mouth was hanging open. I just couldn't believe it.
When they say make America great again, let's do that.
Yes.
Let's bring back the pain print on TV. But you did send me down a rabbit hole. And if you have a chance, just go to YouTube and watch some of those. Because Danielle Spencer, what was her name?
Her name was Danielle Spencer. Also known lovingly as Dee.
Just one of the great child actors of all time, one of the great television child actors.
And again, where a supporting character in a long gone sitcom has such a profound effect on a generation, that generation being ours.
R.I.P. Danielle Spencer. James, number 3.
Number 3.
Trump right now today is in Alaska. I'm sorry, he's giving Alaska away to Russia. We know that's what's going to happen. I don't know if you guys saw the Jeanine Pirro, where she was ranting and raving like a lunatic. And afterwards, she admitted that she'd had 2 glasses of wine before going to the podium, which probably means she had a bottle of wine. And this was at 11 o'clock in the morning, and she was already drunk.
Yeah. Don't forget the pills that she must be on. Don't forget the pills.
What was she ranting about?
She would, every time the reporters would ask her something, she'd say, "I'm not answering that," and then she'd storm off, and then she'd come back, and she was just very, very obviously drunk.
I
Also,
can't wait for the Cecily Strong impressions on SNL.
yes.
Though.
Sean Duffy, who is the transportation secretary, was on Fox 2, and he is still blaming the planes falling out of the sky. He's blaming it on Buttigieg. He's saying that Buttigieg should have gotten more money to take care of all the upgrades. When every time Buttigieg asked for money, the GOP,
Republicans voted it down.
Another failed reality star, Sean
But
Duffy.
the scariest thing that happened is that Trump and his administration have said that they are taking over the Smithsonian Institution, the Smithsonian museums, and they are going to, quote unquote, aggressively vet every exhibition to make sure that it aligns with Trump's view of history.
Right.
His whitewashing of American history obviously is what's going to happen. You can see coming down Sunset Boulevard what's about to happen. And first they come for the textbooks, then they come for the museums. And once again, like what's happening in Washington, D.C., Gravy Seals, as I call them, have come in. It's a blueprint for what's going to happen in Detroit, Philadelphia, Baltimore, LA, and New York. And this is a blueprint for what he's going to be doing to every other, the metropolitan, he's dismantling everything systematically. And he's coming for the museums now. And I just think it's terrible and tragic.
Amen.
Number two.
I
was going to talk about the Tesla diner in Hollywood, but that would be ridiculous because I haven't gone and I have no intention of going. And I don't suppose anyone else has gone or has any intention. But I hear it's failing, which is very gratifying to hear. And that the menu has been vastly reduced and the robot that was serving popcorn has disappeared and the whole thing is kind of cheap and tawdry. And quickly may it fail. But instead, I'd like to talk about Susan Powter. I read her latest book. It's called
around. I thought she died of cancer.
Susan Powter?
Yeah.
No, stop the insanity, James. She's very much alive.
Okay. Susan Powter. James, you remember?
I know who she is, of course.
Jamie Lee Curtis was doing a movie about her, a documentary about her or something.
Absolutely. It's called Stop the Insanity, Finding Susan Powter. And it's a documentary directed by Zebariah Newman.
There you go.
And it premiered at South by Southwest. And it tells her story. And some of you may know the Susan Powter story, essentially that in the 90s, she broke out as a infomercial star, one of the pioneers of infomercials. And her story was that she was married and 260 pounds and in a bit of a dead end. And she turned her life around, got rid of the husband, turned her life around by eating and preached the gospel of stop the insanity, advocating for readdressing our relationship with food and the importance of eating healthy and exercising. And she really became a huge star. Like, Stop the Insanity was the sort of viral meme of its day. And she was very compelling, I think. She was thin and had sort of close cropped platinum hair and was just this sort of unstoppable energy. In fact, immediately hugely successful, set up the Susan Powter Corporation. They had revenues of like 50 million in 93, I think, in 1 year. I mean, just massive, massive success. She had aerobic studios, she had cookbooks, she had an autobiography. But then what happened? And Stop the Insanity, Finding Susan Powter. It's not out currently. It was at South by Southwest. It will be coming out, but it finds Susan Powter. It's such a gripping, I was going to say depressing, but it's not depressing, but it is a harrowing story because
you're gonna have to give us something.
She broke up with her manager, who kind of, for want of a better word, discovered her. She broke up with her backers and went to Vegas and basically went bankrupt. And the documentary opens with her delivering for Uber Eats. Oh. And I mean, she is literally getting by in Vegas, driving for Uber Eats. And yet the incredible force of personality, and just the energy that she has is still undimmed. And so even though she's in these very adverse financial circumstances, she's such a brilliant narrator of the experience. And even though you're like, what happened? How could you go from the insane, massive amount of success to basically zero and living in a really dodgy part of Vegas, you know, sort of apartment block where it's just also addicts and drunks and police interventions and domestic. I mean, it's just really, it's a lot. But what an extraordinary story, in that she's still around. In fact, I think she's been on Jeff Lewis's show here on Radio Andy a few times.
Many years ago, season 2 of Drag Race, she was a guest judge. We had her on for, I think, our when the Queens did exercise tape. She might have been on with Victoria.
Did you know that she was she having problems then? And did you know it, Tom?
She was way past her prime. She was a nostalgic character, but we didn't get any sense that she, you know, she looked older. She looked, you know, but there's no sense that she was destitute. She's lovely.
And she really is. She came into the office a few weeks ago and met her, and everything you see in those infomercials and everything that's in the documentary, I mean, she just has this amazing power to tell stories. She's a great communicator. And
is she a victim, or is she
she's not a victim. I think she's a force of nature, and refuses to be crushed by events. Like, you know, when you're living on the bread line, I guess, on the poverty line, and your car breaks down, it's serious. You know, it's not like, oh well, I just go to the, you know, it's like every $20 really counts.
But did she shoot herself in the foot at her height, and was she hard to deal with, and that's why she lost everything, or was it circumstances beyond her control?
I don't believe so. I do believe it's a classic tale of someone being naive, perhaps, you know, in that first rush of signing deals that you didn't read properly, and suddenly finding out that you don't really own your name, and that, you know, because she is someone who, she doesn't mince her words, and she does, you know, she just fired them. She just fired her manager and fired her and sued them. And it was just a very, I think, quite a tough comeuppance. Not that it was deserved at all, but I think it was, yeah.
Would you think that a documentary like this is going to help her put that people are going to rally around and try and?
I do think she definitely. She's such a. It would be a shame if there isn't a you know, another act for her, you know, because she is such a great communicator and so articulate and so intense and I mean, just, I'm in love, really.
Interesting.
Right. Let's take a quick break, and when we come back, the number one thing this week that made us go,
wow.
You're listening to World of Wonders Wow Report. Things that make us go wow.
Welcome back to the Wow Report. I'm Fenton here with James and Tom, and this week, number one is being taken by Blake.
Hi.
Number one.
I will be your millennial producer movie reviewer.
Thank you.
Weapons.
I have no interest in seeing it, and yet everybody's going bananas for it. Yes or no?
It's really good. It's made by the same people that did Barbarian, which, if you saw that, it was kind of like comic, but more absurd.
Oh, I have heard that this is a very funny black humor horror film.
Yeah, it's really, I loved it. There's one main character. Well, there's a character later in the film that you find out. I don't want to spoil it. So,
well, she's been all over. She's been memed to death.
She's amazing.
It's children in jeopardy, right? They all leave their house in the middle of the night.
Yeah, that 17 children leave their house at 2:17 and never return, and no one knows why.
I mean, I saw that, and I just like, I can't watch that.
Well, interestingly, you know, the guy who wrote it and directed it, I can't remember his name. He was in Whitest Kids You Know, the TV series, and his partner died at 2:17 in the morning, and the day the movie was released was the day that he died, and so the whole movie is an homage to his, you know, writing partner. I just thought I'd throw that out there.
Love it.
Okay.
And it is based on a true story, right? The kid, or is it the?
No.
No, I don't think this is based.
It says that.
Well, I don't think it's based on a
I
true
don't
story.
think 19 kids walked out of their house at 2:17 in the morning and were never seen of again. I think it would be a bigger story if that happened.
Yeah, Alex Jones would be calling it fake.
All right. Well, that's all we got time for this week. Thanks for listening. Thank you, Tom. Thank you, James. Thank you, Blake. Same time, same place. Same time, same place next week. Until then, go out and do something that makes the world go
Wow.